Have you ever poured your entire soul into another, only to find yourself standing amidst the ruins of what you believed was a sacred connection? Have you felt the sting of confusion, the bewildering pain of chasing a love that seemed to vanish like mist the moment you thought you held it? Most men wander through their lives in this haze, a labyrinth of unspoken rules and emotional traps, seeking validation, happiness, and a sense of purpose in the eyes of a woman. They chase this fleeting light, only to end their journey heartbroken, feeling used or ensnared in a life that feels like a cage of their own making. This journey of pain is not a failure. It is a profound, often brutal, awakening. It is a sign that your soul is ready for a deeper truth. If this resonates with the deepest chambers of your heart, if you've ever felt like you were playing a game without knowing the rules, then know you are not alone. This is a sign that your awakening is near. Share your journey in the comments below with a simple, "I am ready," and join a brotherhood of souls walking this path. Let us know you found this message by liking and subscribing, for the wisdom you're about to receive is the missing key you've been searching for your entire life. 2 centuries ago, a philosopher, a brave soul named Arthur Schopenhauer, dared to pull back the curtain on this grand theater. He exposed a raw, primal truth about the dance between men and women. Truth so intensely real, so brutally honest, that most men to this day refuse to accept it. But by the end of this journey together, you will see exactly where you have been deceived by the grand illusion. You will understand the invisible forces at play. And, most importantly, you will learn how to finally, irrevocably, take back control of your own divine destiny. So, listen with an open heart. What you are about to hear is not just a controversial idea. It is the fundamental truth that will unlock your power. Schopenhauer was not a man of fairy tales or romantic delusions. He possessed the courage to see love not for what we wish it to be, but for what it truly is. He saw past the poetry, the songs, and the spiritual fantasies we weave around it. He recognized that what we call love is not some mystical spiritual bond between two souls, nor is it a destiny written in the stars. Instead, it is a magnificent, ruthless, and utterly impersonal biological trick. It is a divine program, a universal law designed by nature for one singular, all-important purpose: the continuation and propagation of the species. This is the first and most uncomfortable truth you must embrace. When you feel that electrifying surge of attraction, that obsessive, all-consuming desire for one particular person, when you feel that unshakable conviction that she is the one, understand this: your brain is not connecting with her soul. It is not a meeting of higher selves. It is a supercomputer running an ancient and flawless algorithm. Your very being is, in that moment, subconsciously performing a million calculations. It is assessing fertility, scanning for genetic compatibility, and evaluating survival advantages. It is the voice of your DNA, whispering commands from millennia of evolution, ensuring its own survival through you. This is a ruthless illusion, a fleeting chemical high that feels like enlightenment, but is designed to fade the very moment its biological purpose has been served. And what of women? Their experience of attraction is governed by the exact same impersonal biological law, but it operates on a different frequency, with a vastly different set of priorities. Their attraction is the other half of the divine equation of life. While a man's subconscious might be calculating physical health and fertility, a woman's entire being is wired to assess a different set of survival codes. Schopenhauer, in his unyielding quest for truth, wrote that love is the ultimate goal of almost all human effort, more important than anything else in life. But he did not mean this in the romantic sense we have been taught. He meant it as a description of the most powerful trap nature has ever devised. This feeling, this love, is a fleeting, intoxicating chemical surge designed to blind you, to compel you to act against your own individual logic for the greater good of the species. Think about it. How many great men, how many empires have been brought to ruin for a woman who, once her needs were met, walked away without a second thought? How many marriages built on the fiery foundations of passion crumble into dust the moment that initial biologically driven passion evaporates? Do you truly believe this is a coincidence? No. This is not a flaw in the system. This is the system itself, operating with divine perfection. It is nature's design. Women, as the gatekeepers of the future of our species, do not choose their mates based on the modern, civilized concepts of fairness, loyalty, or even logic. They are not guided by reason. They are ruled by instinct and emotion. They are guided by an ancient, sacred selection program, a piece of divine software hardwired into their very essence over millions of years. This program compels them to seek out not just a companion, but a pillar of survival. They are instinctively drawn to the frequencies of status, security, and superior genetic lineage. A man's undying devotion, his profound loyalty, his gentle heart, these things mean absolutely nothing if he cannot first provide the fundamental signals of survival and strength that her ancient programming is designed to detect. This is not misogyny, it is observation. It is a deep, spiritual respect for the raw, untamed power of nature's laws. Look at the world around you. Look at the digital coliseums we call dating apps, where 80% of women are competing for the top 20% of men. Why? Because these men, through their success, their confidence, and their bearing, emit a powerful frequency of status and genetic superiority that is impossible for the female instinct to ignore. Look at our divorce courts, where a man's lifelong commitment and sacrifice can be systematically dismantled and rewarded with financial ruin, all under the guise of fairness, when in reality it is often the biological imperative to secure resources for the offspring playing out in a modern legal theater. Look throughout history at the countless kings and warriors who died for mistresses who betrayed them the moment a more powerful suitor appeared. The pattern never changes because the biology, the divine programming, never changes. Most men are raised on a lie. They are taught to believe that love is mutual, a fair and equal exchange. They believe that if they just sacrifice enough, care enough, prove their worth through service and devotion, they will be rewarded with unconditional love and loyalty. But Schopenhauer warned us of this fatal misunderstanding. He cautioned, to be loved, one must not be just, but clever. You must understand this profound truth. Women do not fall for nice. They fall for strength. And this is not just physical strength. It is social strength, financial strength, and most importantly, psychological and spiritual strength. This is precisely why the good guy so often finishes last. It is not because he is unworthy, but because he fundamentally misunderstands the game he is playing. He thinks love is a transaction of service. He believes his happiness and purpose can be earned through her validation. He places her on a pedestal, making her the center of his universe. And in doing so, he commits the single greatest error a man can make. He gives away his power. Women, by instinct, are not drawn to men who need to serve them. They are drawn to men who do not need to serve anyone. Men who are already complete within their own purpose. Have you ever noticed how a woman's intense interest can suddenly fade, almost overnight, the moment she feels she has truly secured you? Have you witnessed how the dynamic of the chase completely reverses? This is what Schopenhauer called the tragedy of possession. For the feminine instinct, the profound biological thrill is not in the having, it is in the conquering. It is in the act of aligning with a force of power and purpose. Once that conquest is complete, once the mountain has been climbed, the biological program immediately begins to scan the horizon for a new, higher peak. The mission is accomplished, and the energy moves on. That is why men who cling too hard, who make a woman the absolute center of their world, who derive their entire sense of self from her affection, will inevitably and painfully watch her walk away. But here is the critical twist in this entire revelation, the point where blame dissolves and true understanding begins. This is not the woman's fault. She is not cruel or malicious. She is simply operating according to her nature, her divine programming. It is nature's design. And the man who finally understands this, the man who awakens to this truth, he stops blaming. He stops feeling like a victim. He starts strategizing. Schopenhauer's lesson is not a call to hate women. It is a call to see them clearly, without the fog of romantic illusion. It is a call to recognize that the dance of love is not a fantasy. It is a negotiation of power, survival, and genetic legacy. And the man who negotiates from a position of weakness, from a place of neediness, loses every single time. But this is just the beginning of your awakening, because the next truth is even darker and even more liberating. It explains why modern men are being so thoroughly outplayed in every arena of life, and it reveals exactly how you can flip the script. So, stay with me, because what comes next is the moment most men realize they have been lied to their entire lives. Schopenhauer saw with piercing clarity what most men today still refuse to admit. The rules of attraction are not fair, they are not logical, and they are most certainly not in your favor. While our modern society preaches equality, biology operates on a completely different and far more ancient set of laws. The man who ignores these primal laws is already lost. Here is the brutal reality. In the grand dance of relationships, women hold the ultimate leverage. Not because they are cruel, but because nature, in its infinite and impersonal wisdom, designed them to be the selectors, the gatekeepers of life itself. From the very moment of puberty, a woman's value in the sexual marketplace peaks, granted to her freely by her youth and beauty. A man's value, however, is not given. It must be built. It must be forged in the fires of struggle, earned through the acquisition of status, and proven through his capacity for survival. Schopenhauer stated it bluntly. Women are suited to being the nurses and teachers of our childhood by the very fact that they themselves are childish, frivolous, and short-sighted. He was not insulting them. He was highlighting a profound evolutionary truth. A woman's focus is naturally and powerfully rooted in the present moment, a trait essential for nurturing the young. But a man must be focused on the future, on building, on achieving, on creating security. He wasn't being cruel. He was observing that, in essence, they remain as big children all their lives, guided by immediate feeling and instinct rather than long-term abstract reasoning. A woman's youth and beauty are her currency, and she instinctively knows how to spend it for maximum survival advantage. The average man today is drowning in a paradox. He is told by society to be soft, emotionally vulnerable, and in touch with his feminine side, while the deep, primal, biological programming of women still relentlessly chases the frequency of masculine dominance and unshakable strength. He is shamed for wanting to embody traditional masculinity, while the alpha males who unapologetically embody it continue to dominate the dating world. He is worked to the point of exhaustion, providing for a system that often rewards his sacrifice with divorce courts and paternity tests. Schopenhauer warned of this centuries ago. He saw that women are systematically trained to be, in a sense, incapable of what men perceive as genuine, unconditional love. This may sound harsh until you truly understand what he meant. Female love is conditional. It must be. It is tied directly to utility and survival value. A man is not cherished for who he is in his essence, but for what he provides, be it resources, security, status, or protection. The moment he stops providing these things, the love, which was always a manifestation of perceived survival value, begins to fade. This is not cynicism. It is the raw calculus of survival. Women are hardwired to seek the best possible mate to ensure the survival and success of their offspring. If a man stagnates, if his value begins to decline, she will instinctively and subconsciously begin to resent him. If he falls behind, she will, by the very laws of her nature, replace him. And our modern society, in its own confusion, cheers her on, calling it empowerment. Schopenhauer divided men into two stark categories: those who serve and those who are served. The beta male, the nice guy, exhausts his life force trying to prove his worth, begging for loyalty. The alpha commands worth effortlessly, simply by being. One begs for loyalty, the other inspires obsession. You see this everywhere. The office worker who sacrifices his health for a promotion, hoping it will finally make his wife respect him again. The gym rat who transforms his body, only to realize women now desire him, but only for fleeting sex, not for long-term commitment. The simp who spends his entire paycheck on a woman who will ghost him, the second a man of higher status appears. These men are not victims, they are volunteers in a game they refuse to understand. But Schopenhauer didn't just diagnose the problem. He revealed the solution. The very first rule of survival is to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. The man who thrives today is not the one who clings to outdated, sentimental romanticism. It is the one who masters the game. And the final, most profound truth? The game is rigged, but only if you are playing by the wrong rules. This is the point where most men give up, because the next truth is the hardest of all to swallow. It is not about women, it is about you. The moment you truly face that, the moment you take absolute responsibility for your own reality, everything changes. Schopenhauer uncovered a disturbing truth that modern psychology now reluctantly confirms. Women do not compete like men. They do not challenge you directly. They do not flex their power where you can see it. Their greatest weapon is invisible, instinctive, and devastatingly effective: emotional influence. While men may fight with fists or with logic, women wage war through the manipulation of perception. They do not conquer your kingdom. They manipulate you into handing them the keys. Consider this. When a man wants something, he typically demands it or takes it. When a woman wants something, she makes you believe it was your idea all along. Schopenhauer saw this with perfect clarity. He observed that women are adapted to a more sedentary life, lacking physical strength, and are thus naturally inclined towards the care of children. Consequently, they live more in the immediate present than men do. But this intense focus on the present moment, this attunement to the immediate emotional landscape, gives them a dangerous advantage. They are masters of reading micro-expressions, tone shifts, and social dynamics with a near supernatural accuracy. A man thinks he is having a logical conversation. A woman is conducting a deep, subconscious interrogation. Modern men foolishly believe they are in control of their relationships. They are wrong. From the very first date to the signing of divorce papers, women guide the entire interaction through a series of subtle, unspoken tests. And most men fail these tests without ever even realizing they were being administered. There is the compliance test. How quickly will you rearrange your schedule and sacrifice your own priorities for her? There is the frame test. Will you stand your ground and maintain your reality, or will you cave to her emotional pressure? There is the investment test. If you chase more than she does, you are communicating lower value. Schopenhauer warned that women are instinctively crafty and possess an innate talent for deception. This is not a moral failing. It is not evil. It is evolutionary programming. In a world where physical strength could not secure their survival, emotional intelligence and the ability to influence stronger males became the ultimate currency. The woman who could not navigate male psychology simply did not pass on her genes. Here is where modern men walk blindly into the trap. They confuse a woman's attention for genuine, soul-level interest. But Schopenhauer revealed the dark reality. Women are most drawn to the men who do not need them. The very moment you make a woman your primary purpose in life is the moment she begins to lose all respect for you. This single truth explains everything. It explains why nice guys finish last, why marriages crumble after men sacrifice their ambitions for the family, and why women so often pursue emotionally unavailable men. It is not that women want to be treated poorly. It is that they are biologically, primally, and irreversibly wired to seek men of higher value. And nothing destroys a man's perceived value faster than neediness. Every single interaction with a woman contains an unspoken power struggle. And most men lose the battle before they even realize it began. She cries to avoid accountability. She withholds affection to train compliance. She flirts with other men to test your confidence. Schopenhauer called this the tyranny of the weak. Women leverage their perceived vulnerability to control adversaries who are physically stronger. A man who falls for this manipulation becomes a slave. But a man who recognizes it, who sees the game for what it is, becomes unstoppable. But in this stark reality, there is hope. Schopenhauer's most liberating truth is this: the first step to freedom is seeing the chains. Once you understand that female nature is not personal, that it is biological, you stop taking it personally, you stop begging for loyalty, and you start inspiring it. The final lesson is the most important. The most dangerous lies are not the ones women tell men. They are the ones men tell themselves. They lie to themselves, that their devotion alone is enough. They lie to themselves that fairness exists in the laws of nature. Schopenhauer's most devastating revelation was not about women. It was about the cold, unflinching reality of human nature itself. After exposing the brutal truths of attraction and power dynamics, he offered something far more valuable: the path to liberation. This is not about defeating women. It is about transcending the game entirely. Modern men make one fatal error. They believe happiness comes from female validation. Schopenhauer saw through this illusion. He wrote, "The happiness which we receive from ourselves is greater than that which we obtain from our surroundings. The men who truly thrive are not those who conquer women, but those who conquer themselves." They develop a purpose so consuming, so intrinsically rewarding, that female attention becomes a pleasant bonus rather than a life or death necessity. History's most remarkable mentally artists, the inventors, the warriors, were not distracted by the chase. They were too busy building empires. Here are the 3 pillars of unshakable masculinity. 1. Economic sovereignty. Schopenhauer warned that money is human happiness in the abstract, not for what it buys, but for the freedom it secures. The man who controls his finances controls his fate. 2. Philosophical depth. Most men live on autopilot, prisoners of societal conditioning. The exceptional man cultivates a mind sharp enough to cut through societal lies. He reads, he debates, and he thinks for himself. 3. Physical mastery. The body is not just a tool for attraction. It is the vessel of your will. Weakness here breeds weakness everywhere. Here is where Schopenhauer's wisdom becomes truly revolutionary. The safest way of not being very miserable is not to expect to be very happy. This is not pessimism, it is emotional armor. The modern man who stops begging for love, approval, or fairness suddenly finds these things come to him. Why? Because he has removed himself from the desperate masses. He has become the prize. The battle between men and women is not personal. It is biological theater playing out across millennia. The man who wakes up to this stops blaming and starts evolving. He doesn't resent female nature. He adapts to it. He builds a life so compelling that women must either meet his standards or watch from the sidelines. Schopenhauer's ultimate lesson? We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. The choice is yours. Continue chasing illusions or step into your true power. The red pill is not about hating women. It is about loving truth enough to rebuild yourself in its image. This is where your real life begins.